Good morning, my friends, family, and followers. This morning we're going to be talking about self care. It's a really big and very important topic for me personally, which is why it's one of the work life balance buckets. Because I think without self care, we're not actually taking care of ourselves. Good morning. I'm glad you're here with me. So glad. So let's get into this. I have all these notifications popping up on my computer. Okay, good morning. Good morning. I'm so glad that you guys are here with me today. So, I'm going to get into self care in a way that we don't usually talk about it very much. I think traditionally, when people hear self care, they think, oh, I'm going to put my makeup on and feel pretty today, or I'm going to go get a massage, or I'm going to take a walk on the beach. Okay, well, those things might be self care. Absolutely, they may be self care. But what I want to talk about today is how do you take care of yourself in a way that gets you aligned with your true self, with who you really are? So, as I put in the title of today's talk, it's my definition of self care is, are you doing, like, as in, are you taking action in everything that is required to get yourself back in alignment with your true self? I think self care means really discovering what you need in order to feel good about yourself. It's about discovering what your shame cycles are and then acknowledging them, being aware of them, and being able to stop them when they start. So, we're going to get into that just a little bit today. Um, but what I really want to know is, do you know who your true self is? When you look inside of yourself, are you going, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Because I've been there, I've done that. Or are you in alignment with it? Do you know who you are? And then you're saying, I'm taking action in the world to be who I really feel like I am inside of myself. So if you were to dive deeply inside of yourself, would you find that you're in integrity with yourself? And by integrity, I mean what you do, what you say, what you think, and what you feel are all in alignment together. Good morning. So if that's true, then you can be your true, authentic, well, I call it beautifully authentic self. That's the name of my company, because I am trying to get us all into that place of being beautifully authentic. So, or are you wearing a mask? Or are you people pleasing? Or are you trying to make other people happy? Or are you willing to give up who you are in order to fit in? A lot of times that's what happens, and that's where we lose ourselves. And so, we say that shame hates its name. And so we're going to talk a little bit about shame today. And shame is what keeps us from being vulnerable and keeps us from creating intimacy. And it's what actually has us act out of alignment with who we really are, because we feel ashamed of ourselves in some way. It doesn't fit in with others. And so then we do things that aren't in alignment with who we are. And so when I'm talking about self care, I'm talking about, how do we stop doing those behaviors and how do we start doing the behaviors that actually support who we truly are? Um, when we're operating out of shame, we're trying to make ourselves better, because somehow we think we're broken or bad or wrong. And in reality, you're just you. There's nothing bad or wrong at all about you. I went to a mindfulness meditation this weekend. It was so awesome because I was just sitting there learning to be with my own pain, my own discomfort. And there came a point when the whole thing just cleared and I blissed out. And Mike and I were talking about it, and it's like, we're not actually trying to get to that blissed out point, because if we're trying to get to that blissed out point, then we'll actually never get to the blissed out point, because we're trying, and when we want things, it doesn't come to us, because we're attached. So that's it's a whole other ball of wax. You can see my moving boxes back there. We bought a house, and so we're going to be packing all of this up pretty soon. So I apologize for the stuff in the back, and that's a new cabinet. We're going to be redoing the kitchen too. So I think that's the cabinets we're going to be using. So anyway, welcome to my home. So nobody's bad or wrong or broken. We all have pain inside of us, and we learn to sit and witness the pain. It actually goes away. It's like an annoying child. It's like, mommy, 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 mommy. If you don't pay attention to that child, it's like, you start really tensing up against it. The pain is the same way. But when you turn towards the child and you say, yes, what do you need? Usually they're like, I love you. And then they run away and go play. Your pain is the same way. If you avoid it, it's going to hurt you. So self-care is when we turn towards our pain and we face ourselves and we sit with ourselves. There's nothing bad or wrong or broken. We're just being with ourselves because you're perfect just the way that you are. If you find yourself hearing yourself saying there's something wrong with me, you probably picked that up from somewhere, because I'm sure there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect just the way you are. You are just who you are, and that's exactly who you were meant to be. And so own that, And when you don't believe that you're perfect just the way you are, you don't act in alignment with your true self. You're trying to act or behave or do or be something for someone else. And then when we do that, we lose ourselves. When you do that, you're acting in order to please someone, or maybe even just escape the fear of rejection or escape this fear of abandonment. You're going to leave me if I'm not who you need me to be, or you're going to reject me if I'm not who you need me to be. And that pain is so big, that we allow ourselves to let go of ourselves and become someone that we are not. And in those instances, we allow ourselves to become controlled or manipulated or used by others, because we're letting go of our authentic selves in order to make someone else happy or please someone else. Is this all making sense? So, when you do discover things that truly make you feel in alignment with yourself, then self-care obviously is going and doing those things and taking that action that you need to get into your own alignment. So I just want to say thank you for being here today. I want to get into what does it actually look like? I'm going to give you some examples of what it actually looks like in my life, in my relationships, in my business, with my parenting, my spirituality, what it looks like when I'm out of alignment, what it looks like when I'm in alignment. And I'm Heather Hundhausen. I think you guys know that. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, if that's where you're watching this, or maybe you're here with me in the live in the Facebook, I do that on Monday mornings at 10, which I think I'm going to change. So I'll let everybody know if that happens. So I've created these work-life balance buckets, and self-care is number 4 of the work-life balance buckets. And so if you've been with me, there's 10, and the first 5 are all about me, what's happening internally, and then the second 5, I guess, they're all about what's happening externally in relationship with the world. So first, I'm getting awareness by looking in my body, right? Like I'm saying, we sit with our pain, we look at our pain, we feel into our pain, allow ourselves just to be. The second part is controlling that monkey mind. The third part is self-love. Self-love is how do I honor and accept myself for who I am and love myself just the way that I am and have compassion for myself. And there's no doing out in the world. The doing is really just sending love towards the self and reparenting. The fourth one is what we're talking about today, is the self-care bucket. This is the actual doingness. Once you have all of that awareness of what's happening, this is the doingness. How do I actually do something to take care of myself? And then the fifth one, we're starting to move out into the world. This is boundaries and worthiness. And I'm worthy enough to actually take the action in my life that I need with other people in order to get what I need from the world. So those are the first 5 buckets. The next 5 buckets have to do with relationships outside of us and our purpose and our spirituality. So that's the outside of us stuff. Okay, so maybe you can relate to some of these places where I lost myself by giving up myself and I wasn't taking care of myself. Good morning to everyone who's with me. So, all right, so I lost myself in business. For instance, I want to spread a message of healing to the world, right? When I was 11 years old, I learned that Jesus could heal people with his hands, and I wanted to be able to do that. And I didn't think there was anything separating me from Jesus. Like if Jesus could do it, I could do it. I thought all I needed was more training and more connection to God. Like truly, that's what at 11 years old, that's what I thought. And at some point I had experiences that made me think, I better hide all of this. People are going to think I'm crazy. I want to fit in and I'm just really too weird. And, this is common. A lot of healers or a lot of psychics or intuitives, I hear them, they come in my office and they say this to me, I can feel other people's feelings or I can hear other people's thoughts. And, that can be very challenging because you don't fit into the normal, people don't talk about it. A lot of people have these gifts, but they don't talk about it. So it feels like you're not fitting in. And so, I started squelching all of that, and I started hiding and losing myself. So it's been a long journey to get back to me, because I knew I had a big message to spread, and I have so many people that I still want to heal. So it's important to me to do the work in the world and to be a contribution. So if I don't do marketing, or if I don't do marketing research, or if I don't call and connect with people or potential clients, or potential relationships that could bring more clients, then I actually don't feel like I'm in alignment with my purpose here. So, and that's the doingness, that's the self-care. Is that making sense? So like if I'm not working on my marketing strategy, or I'm not connecting with people, then I don't actually feel in alignment with why I'm here, because I know I'm supposed to be working with people. If I hide in my bed all day long and I don't go out in the world, I actually end up feeling worse. And that's the shame cycle that I was telling you about. It ends up feeling, yucky and scary, and like there's something wrong with me, because I'm not actually doing what feels good for me in the world. Does that make sense? So, if I'm not seeing clients, or I'm not looking for clients, or, that, I think that's all making sense to you guys. So I have to take action to be who I feel like I am and who I want to be. I can't just sit around wishing I could heal people. I can't just lay in my bed and be like, I wish I could heal people. I have to actually get out there and be with people. And I had to take classes. So, and then I had to find people to work on. And then I had to learn how to do what I do. And this is self-care. I think that a lot of times people are like, oh, I got to go to work. And they think that work is horrible, but work isn't horrible. Work is self-care. This is how we take care of ourselves. And especially this is about the bucket number, oh, I can't remember. I think it's like 7, 8, 9, one of those, where we talk about relationships in work, and we start talking about what's your purpose. So when you know what your purpose is, and you're living in your purpose, and you're having healthy relationships at work, it feels like self-care, because you're actually doing what you want to be doing. You're not doing some stupid thing you don't want to do. So here's another example of how I lost myself. So when I ignore my kids because I'm too self-involved, that happens for a lot of us. Then I don't feel like I'm in alignment with my purpose as a parent, because my purpose as a parent is to raise and create little men who are going to grow up to be big men, who are a contribution in the world, and who are a contribution in their families. Good morning. I'm glad you joined me. So when I spend too much time on focusing on myself, or on my work, or on my relationships, then I don't have the time that I want to be with my kids and raise them the way that I want to raise them. So then, of course, we go back into that shame cycle, right? I tell myself I'm bad and wrong because I'm not actually doing what I want to be doing. And if I let the shame take over, I would just keep working or stay self-focused, and I wouldn't take care of my kids the way that I want to. So self-care is learning how to balance, so that I can get my work done and do everything that I need to do, and also spend time with my kids, and be interactive with them, and be teaching them the stuff that I want to do. So does that make sense? So self-care isn't just I take care of me. Self-care is, this is who I want to. I want to be a good parent. And so I'm going to make sure that when my kid has a 10-day homework assignment, that I say, hey, buddy, you got 10 days. Let's divide this into 10 pieces. Do one little piece today. So I'm actually teaching him how not to procrastinate. And, he may even get excited enough to do part 1 and 2 on the first day. And so teaching him how to balance his life as well. That's actually self-care for me, because then Sunday before the project's due, I'm not up until 4 o'clock in the morning, because my kid is procrastinated, and because I haven't taught him what I need to teach him. Does that make sense? So this is actually self-care for me, because I get to fall asleep at night and go, I feel like a good parent. I feel like I'm in integrity with who I want to be. I'm not out of alignment. I'm not over here playing games on my phone. I also do that, but I'm not doing that all day. I'm also making sure that my kid gets done what he needs to get done. And that actually makes me feel really good, makes me feel like I'm in integrity with myself. Okay, here's another example. So in relationship, so when I'm not spending time with my boyfriend, or I'm not supporting him in the way I like to, that actually makes me feel out of alignment and not, in alignment with my purpose. Because it's really important for me to be the feminine, to be the soil for him to grow. I want him to be able to plant himself into me and grow. And so if he can grow and he can thrive, then I know that he can protect me and provide for me. But if I don't spend time taking care of myself in a way that makes me feel powerful enough to be soil for him, or full enough to be present for him, or taken care of enough to show up, then I'm not fulfilling my purpose and I don't feel good about myself. So, for instance, I took myself country western dancing a week ago Saturday, because that's actually what makes me feel filled up and powerful and beautiful and amazing. And that way I can actually come home to him and be who he needs me to be. So that's my self-care, but my self-care is also being who I want to be for him. Does that make sense? So it's not like I'm not being who he wants me to be. That's where we lose ourselves. I'm figuring out ways to be who I want to be so that I can show up in a way that feels good for me in relationship with him. Can you see the distinction there? It's not like Mike's like, Heather, I want you to be XYZ. And so I'm like, okay, I'll just be XYZ. No, I want to be me and he wants me to be me. And if I go turn into XYZ, I lose me and he loses me. That's not self-care. That's people pleasing. But if I think, oh, maybe he wants XYZ, and I go and I do that, I lose myself. But if I think, I know that he wants me, I'm a beautiful, powerful woman, and I want to be this safe space. I want to be soil. I want to be support. I want to be nurturing. Those things are important to me. Then I get to go and figure out, how do I fill myself up so that I can be that for him, because that's actually taking care of me. Making sense? Did I get that distinction? Does that sound good? Okay, here's another way you can lose yourself in your health, right? So your health is incredibly important. You can't buy your health. Nobody else can do your health for you. Nobody else is going to be healthy for you. You're the one who chooses what you put in your mouth. You're the one who chooses how much you exercise and play. Doesn't matter how much your boyfriend loves you or your girlfriend loves you, or if I'm a good mother or whatever. The only thing that can make me healthy is me. And so when I choose healthy food and I choose healthy exercise, then I feel good about myself. And when I don't choose those things, then I feel bad about myself, right? And then that shame cycle takes over again. And then when the shame cycle takes over again, forget about it. You're going to be eating cookies and watching TV. You are not going to be exercising and eating lettuce, So self-care is learning how to balance making sure that I do my work and spending time with my kids and powering myself up to be soil for my boyfriend and exercising and eating right. So is it making sense? Like, self-care is very encompassing, and it's a moment to moment choice. It's not like I have to put it in the calendar. I got to make sure I get a massage on Monday and I'm taking care of myself. No, it's not like that. It's like, okay, in this moment, where am I? In this moment, am I in integrity with myself, or am I out of integrity with myself? Oh God, I'm out of integrity with okay, well, what did I miss? What action can I take right now to get myself back in integrity with myself? That's self-care. That's work-life balance. It's not making a checklist and checking everything off of the list. That is not balance. That's making checklists and checking things off a list. Balance is checking in with myself and asking myself if I'm in alignment with myself. Am I truly being who I want to be in order to create what I want to create in the world that feels really, really good for me? Okay, so let's see what else. Okay, so another example would be losing your spirituality. So when I try to control the world that I live in, which, I've done that more times than I'd like to admit, nothing goes well, right? And I've learned that I get to surrender to my higher self. So I've also learned that surrendering to my higher self takes a lot of practice for me. It takes meditating, it takes journaling. It's a habit that I have to form. And if I don't spend time meditating or journaling, guess what? I feel bad about myself and I go into the shame cycle. And when I'm in the shame cycle, do you think I'm going to meditate or journal? No, right? So it's, checking in and saying, hey, you know what, I didn't meditate today or I didn't journal today. Would that feel really good to do that right now? Would that get me back in alignment with myself? So it's balancing work, it's spending time with your kids, it's spending time with my boyfriend, it's exercising and eating right, and it's making sure I meditate and journal, right? And so it's not like you hear me saying all this, but it's not a checklist, you know? This is just, I want to take action in my life in this way so that it feels good. Now, do I schedule some of this? Yeah, sometimes I schedule some of this stuff. But really, it's more of a checking in internal process. And if I check in and I'm like, ooh, you know, I haven't really exercised in a day or two, I really want to make sure that I do that today. Where does that fit in? You know, that would be maybe scheduling. Or, oh man, I don't feel like I'm in alignment with my higher self. Maybe I need to go meditate right now. Um, and so making those little decisions, and you know, if you have a full-time job, that can be a little challenging, but you can have a 5-minute bathroom break and you can go in the bathroom and you can meditate for 5 minutes. Um, and so, you know, it's possible to be able to get yourself back in alignment in any moment, in any job, in any place, you know, whatever, even if you're with your kids, you know, hey, mommy needs a 5-minute timeout. So self-care doesn't necessarily just mean I wash my face, you know, although at one point in my life, I decided that loving myself would mean using really nice face cream, and that would be an act of self-love. And so I started using this face cream every day. So for me, self-care does mean I wash my face and put this stuff on, but that's not like the definition of self-care. So I just wanted to make that distinction also. So, you know, what does self-care mean for you? And check in with yourself. You know, are you in or out of alignment with who you really are and what your purpose is? Just take a moment and check in. And if you don't know how to check in, you know, you're going to drop down into your body. You know, are you even aware of what being in alignment feels like? You know, so if you don't even know what that feels like, just drop down in your body and find, you know, where am I holding tension? Where am I holding pain? What's coming up here? And just be a witness of it. um, I have a lot of clients who don't have a clue what it feels like to be in their own bodies, you know. I mean, how the heck are you supposed to know what you need if you don't even know what it feels like in your own body, right? If you're disconnected from here and all you feel is here up, which is the monkey mind, and you're just not even connected from the neck down, how are you supposed to know what you need? So if that's you, self-care starts with dropping down into your body and finding out what you need. And if you're having trouble with self-care, and if you're having trouble staying in alignment with your integrity, if you're having the shame spiral cycle happening, um, and you don't know how to get yourself out of that, do yourself a favor and book a free breakthrough session with me, because I'd be happy to help you figure this out. It doesn't cost you anything, and it may change your life in the best way possible. So I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for sticking through and watching the whole thing on self-care. And I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you listening. And this is important to me so that we can all live really balanced, healthy lives and be balanced and healthy with each other. So I hope you have an awesome week, and I will be with you again next week. Thanks for being here.